My new neighbor told me her kids had unlimited access to my hot tub. When I said no, she used it anyway, tried to drain it, then poisoned the water. I moved into a new house 3 months ago. Within the first week, my neighbor knocked on my door and told me her kids had unlimited access to my hot tub because those were the neighborhood rules. There are no neighborhood rules about hot tubs. She made it up. When I told her no, she let her kids in anyway. When I locked the gate, she tried to drain it. When I installed cameras, she dumped something in the water that turned it green overnight. Her name is Diane. She lives in the house directly behind mine with her 3 kids, ages 11, 9, and 7. The backyard fence between our properties has a gate that the previous owner apparently left unlocked. Diane had been using the hot tub for years while the house was empty during the sale process. She treated it like it was hers. I found this out when I came home on my 4th day and saw 3 kids sitting in my hot tub. No towels, no adults, just 3 kids in street clothes splashing around. I walked out. Hey, who are you guys? The oldest looked at me like I was bothering him. Diane said we could. Diane appeared at the fence gate 30 seconds later. She didn't apologize. She didn't look embarrassed. She walked into my yard and said, "Oh good, you're home. I wanted to introduce myself. The kids use the hot tub a few times a week. It's kind of a neighborhood thing." There's no neighborhood thing. This is my property. The Hendersons always let us use it. The Hendersons don't live here anymore. I do. She tilted her head like I was being difficult. It's just a hot tub. The kids love it. We won't be in your way. I'm not comfortable with other people's kids in my hot tub unsupervised. There's a liability issue. I'll sign a waiver. I'm not asking you to sign a waiver. I'm asking you to take your kids out of my hot tub. She called them out. They climbed over the edge, dripping wet, and trampled through my flower bed on the way to the gate. Diane looked at me and said, "You're going to regret being this kind of neighbor." I installed a padlock on the fence gate that night. 3 days later, I came home to find the padlock cut with bolt cutters and the gate open. The hot tub cover was off, and there were wet footprints on the deck. I called Diane. She denied it. Maybe it was kids from the street. Kids from the street who knew exactly where my hot tub was and how to get through a locked gate. I don't know what to tell you. I installed 2 security cameras, one on the back deck pointed at the hot tub and one on the fence gate. The next Tuesday, Diane came through the gate at 3:15 p.m. with all 3 kids. She looked around, didn't see any cameras, and let the kids get in. She sat on my deck chair and scrolled her phone while they splashed around for 40 minutes. I watched the whole thing from my office on the live feed. I went outside. "Diane, get out of my yard." She jumped. "The gate was open. You cut my lock 3 days ago. Get your kids out of my hot tub and leave my property. This is harassment. You're sitting in my yard without permission. That's trespassing." She grabbed her kids and left. I filed a police report that afternoon and showed them camera footage. They went to Diane's house and told her if she entered my property again, she'd be cited. That should have been the end. It wasn't. 2 days later, I found the hot tub water level had dropped by 6 inches overnight. I checked the camera. At 11:40 p.m., Diane came through a different section of the fence she'd loosened and attached a garden hose to the drain valve. She was trying to empty my hot tub. She didn't finish because the hose disconnected, but she drained about 80 gallons before the camera motion alert woke me up. I called the police again. They cited her for trespassing and criminal mischief. She screamed at the officers from her porch that I was a liar and the hot tub was a public amenity. The officers told her private property doesn't work that way. 1 week later, the water turned green. Not algae green, chemical green. I checked the camera. At 2 a.m., Diane threw something over the fence into the hot tub. I couldn't tell exactly what it was from the footage, but the water tested positive for a high concentration of copper sulfate, enough to cause skin irritation and make the tub unusable until it was fully drained, cleaned, and refilled. I filed another police report. This time, the charge was property damage. Diane was arrested the following morning. Her mugshot showed the same expression she had when she walked into my yard the first time, like she couldn't believe anyone would tell her no. The hot tub was drained, professionally cleaned, and refilled. Cost me $680. I filed in small claims court for the cleanup, the destroyed padlock, and the water she drained. Total claim was $940. Diane didn't show up to court. I won by default. Her HOA was notified of the police reports. 3 neighbors sent me messages saying Diane had been a problem for years, but nobody had ever filed anything. The fence gate is welded shut now. I added a 3rd camera. The hot tub has a locking cover that requires a key. I use it most evenings after work. The water is clean, the yard is quiet, and the only person who sits on my deck chair is me. Last week, Diane's oldest kid knocked on my front door. He said, "My mom says you owe us an apology." I said, "Tell your mom she owes me $940 and a padlock." He left. I went back to my hot tub.